What's up, guys? This is Maxwell with the Cigar Nut here at the 85th Annual IPCPR show in Las Vegas. I'm hanging out with Steve Saka. Steve, thanks so much for hanging out with us. If you guys don't know, Steve is with Dunbarton Tobacco Trust. Steve, some people tell me that you're a pretty big deal, huh?
Well, obviously I'm a big deal. Look at me, big God. I'm the size of my house.
Well, Steve, thanks so much for hanging out with us and taking some time to kind of share your story with us. Really appreciate it.
No, it's my pleasure.
Well, why don't we start off by just kind of getting to know you and your beginnings in the cigar industry, kind of what led you down this path and right this point?
I started like everybody that smoked cigars. I just started as a cigar smoker, and then I just kind of became a real uber geek. But this was back in the late 80s, early 90s, so I was like a real anomaly. Because back then we didn't have we didn't have the internet, as surprising as this might seem to anybody under the age of 35. The internet didn't always exist. But anyways, so I was just like this really weird dude that was really, really into cigars, but I didn't know anybody else was into cigars. So I actually started going to the Dominican and Honduras just to visit factories because I was curious and I wanted to know. And it was really strange back then for a white dude to actually care. Because this was all pre-magazine, this was pre-cigar boom. And I ended up becoming really good friends with a lot of the makers. Because I was an anomaly. I was the one weird, strange guy that was coming down. Like, I went to Esteli, Nicaragua, like late '92. I mean, there was nobody in Esteli back in that time. So, and I really never had any desire to get into the cigar business. I was actually, it turned out, I was probably the very first. Well, then I discovered the internet, first through AOL, and then through Usenet news groups. And back at the time, Usenet news groups weren't only used for child porn. It was actually a way that people communicated. And I was involved in a small little cigar group. There was literally only 30 of us. And then I started running a little website called Cigar Nexus with some friends of mine, John Chunko and John Zungsky. And it turned out that we didn't know it, but we were the first bloggers. The word blogging hadn't even been invented, and we were just doing it, just what you're doing. Interviews, reviews of cigars, this and that, and so we were like really the very, very first ones to do it. The whole thing, and we weren't trying to make money on it, actually. We were trying to subsidize our cigar budget. So John set up this scam company called Princeton Humidor that really we knew would never turn a profit. And they were like the sole sponsor of Cigar Nexus, we knew would never turn a profit. So the idea was that both would not turn a profit for 3 years, and then we would then invent another one to not turn a profit for 3 years. But what ended up happening was, because I knew everybody, one of the people that I had become friendly with was a man named Lou Rothman. And Lou Rothman was the owner of JR Cigar, and at that time, JR Cigars was the biggest buyer and seller of handmade cigars in the United States. In fact, more than 50% of cigars smoked in the U.S. were somehow bought and sold by JR Cigar. And Lou approached me about writing a book, because most of the books that have been published are pretty crappy. They just regurgitate the same thing over and over again, and what ends up happening is 20 books later, it just kind of becomes gospel. But the reality is most of the books aren't that good. And because I had access to all the factories and I knew all the makers, and because the way I talk is kind of the way I write, it's very straightforward, he said, hey, I want you to write a book. So I went to talk to him about writing the book. We talked about the book for 3 or 4 minutes, and then we kind of got into a discussion about what's the best brand of hot dog, and then it was kind of like what's the best muscle car from the late 60s, and then it devolved into a Bo Sox Yankee argument. And like an hour and a half later, he goes, why don't you come work for me? I'm like, doing what? He goes, well, you like to do all this cigar shit. You like to go to these crappy third world countries. I hate all that. He says, you could just do that. And I'm like, well, what would be my title? He goes, well, you wouldn't really be a title because you'd just be working for me. Okay, you'll be the executive consultant. And I go, I don't know, Lou. And he goes, well, how much do you make now? And I'm like, well, Lou, I don't make anything. I'm retired. So he goes, well, don't you do anything? I said, well, I do a little consulting. He goes, well, how much do you charge to consult? And I'm like, well, Lou, the way consulting works is you take whatever's fair, you multiply it by 3. Because everybody likes to overpay consultants. And so I tell him this number, and he goes, huh. well, what if I hire you for 3 years a consultant? So that was it, man. I was executive consultant to JR Cigar, and I was doing all their cigar projects, working right along with Lou, which is fantastic because Lou's a genius. And I learned so much about the business end of the cigar, you know, and it also gave me access to all the factories and to everything. And so I was there with Lou for, I don't know, close to 4 years, and then they got bought out by Altadis, and I didn't want to work with Altadis, and I don't think they wanted to work with me either. I'm a bit of a pain in the ass. So I ended up leaving, and I was in a non-compete, and about halfway through it, crazy kid who I knew owned a little podunky factory in Esteli called Drew Estate, and then he asked me if I'd be interested in coming and being president of Drew Estate, and I was kind of like, nah, not really. And he goes, well, what if I make you a vested partner for no money in? Well, I like that. Vested partner, no cash to the till. So I ended up becoming a president and a partner in Drew Estate back in 2005, and then, you know, I think everybody knows where that company went. You know, went from a nothing burger company to the Goliath that it is today. I can't take full credit for it, but I was definitely a key member of the team that made that happen. And then in 2015, my wife hated Miami. She wanted to move back home, so I ended up leaving Drew Estate. I tried where she lived back in New Hampshire, and I was going back and forth to Nicaragua and Miami, but it just wasn't working out. So I said, hey guys, I gotta bounce. I love you. It's been great, but this is just not working personally. And so I left in 2013, and then I had another 2-year non-compete, and I then started this small family-owned Dunbarton Tobacco Trust, and that's kind of where I'm at now.
That's very cool. What does Dunbarton mean to you? Obviously, you know, you've left the cigar industry a couple times and come back a couple times, and it seems like every time you come back, there's some reason, there's some kind of motivation behind coming back.
I mean, I'm at the point now where I've been lucky because not only have I been bought out twice cigar-wise, I was also bought out of an engineering company in the early 90s. So I'm not like filthy rich, but I'm retirement rich. So, but at the same time, even as fat as I am, I'm probably going to live another 20 years. So I got to have something to do for the next couple decades. And what I love is I love cigars and I love tobacco. It is my passion, and I feel that I can do. I feel that I'm as capable as anyone else. And so to me, I wanted to start a small family company and just do projects that I really want to do, cigars that I really like, not really worry so much about what the sales numbers are and the targets. If the brand becomes a $10 million brand, great. But if the brand is an $800,000 brand, but the cigars are fantastic, I'm okay with that. Yeah. So I've just kind of taken this puro sin compromiso approach at it, to just do something that's different, unique, super high quality, stuff that I like. And hopefully if other people want to buy it, that's great. Yeah. But in the end, it's kind of like the guy that does really well on Wall Street and then goes open a goat cheese farm in Vermont. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's kind of where I am at in my life right now. I don't have any grand aspirations, to be honest with you.
We're gonna take a short break until this guy finishes his 30-minute speech going on right now. Could you still hear?
The headlining quote is "Dunbarton is my goat cheese factory." That's the whole article.
Best goat cheese on the planet.
All right. I think he's done. I think we're good. All right. Okay, very cool. So finally, we'll kind of dive into the cigars. Obviously, this year the big one we've all been talking about on the blogger side, media side, is this somewhat improperly named
improperly named Todos Las Dias.
So tell us a little bit about this cigar. And
Todos Las Dias. The inspiration for this was, I think it was really kind of a goof. I was in a factory in Honduras with a gentleman named Estela Padron. Estela Padron was the master maker for Hoya de Monterrey and El Rey de Mundo and what else? Punch. And he's the brother actually of Old Man Padron at Padron Cigars. Okay. And I'm like a sponge. I ask a billion questions. That's one of the things about our business. Everybody likes to pretend they know more than they really know, so they don't ask questions. Where I'm the guy that knows I don't know jack shit, so I am the guy that just peppers these poor bastards with endless questions.
Yeah.
So I was really grilling Estelo about a lot of things. How do you do this fermentation? What temperature? How do you know when it's the right time to turn it? When do you do the mojado? Do you add bacteria? Don't you add bacteria? What bacteria do you add? And so I was doing my typical geek thing, and at one point he just stopped. And he said, "Hey, what type of cigars do you like to smoke?" So I like really strong, dark cigars. So he sent someone away to go fetch me a couple cigars to smoke, and I'm smoking, and the cigar is just kicking my ass. It is so strong. It's like this real heavy nicotine bomb, right? And he's smoking it, and I'm smoking it, and I'm getting a little green in the gills. I'm like, man, you really smoke these, right? And he just said, "Todos los días, Saka, todos los días, every day, Saka, every day." And that always stuck with me. Now, in hindsight, now that I know Estelo better, he actually doesn't like that type of cigar. So he was really just pranking me by having him bring me something that's so green in the gill type of thing. But that always stuck with me. So I always wanted to kind of make a cigar called Todos los Días, which makes no sense that the cigar you smoke every day would be one that you never want to smoke it every day. It's the whole thing makes no sense. So what Todos los Días is it's a super heavy, strong cigar, but it's different because there's a lot of really good, strong, heavy cigars in the market. Roma Craft has their Neanderthal. Lido has his double Lajero series. Those are really strong. I mean, there's a wide variety of really strong cigars, but I wanted to make something different. So Todos los Días, it ends up basically, it gets dramatically stronger as you smoke it. So it starts off, it doesn't give you that initial, oh my God, this is so peppery, that heavy hit of black pepper. And no, this actually kind of lulls you slowly into it. It isn't one where, oh my God, it's strong, then it kind of mellows and you settle into it, and then by the end it goes back up. This is a cigar that starts right around medium and just slowly, gradually goes like this. And the other thing that's really unique about it is there's one particular farm in Jalapa that I'm using that's growing a new hybrid I seed, and the tobacco has no black pepper, but it has like a sweet chili pepper. Okay, it's like a cayenne pepper. So it doesn't hit the tip of your tongue, but it actually warms the sides of your tongue. And you'll actually feel it on the side of your mouth, and the longer you smoke it, it'll then coat the back of your palate. And it just is a very, it's like the spice that you get out of like a really good mole or out of a good curry, where it just slowly intensifies and it really lingers, just lingers warmth. But by the time you get down to the band, it's incredibly strong. And anybody that doesn't think it's that strong, just get about an inch into it and give it a retrohale. Yeah, you'll realize it's got a lot more strength than you realize. It's a really, really unique blend. Now, whether that's good or bad, I don't know, because the guys who like really strong cigars, they may be disappointed that I didn't hit them over the head on puff one. You know what I mean? On the other hand, they may really like the fact that it's a strong cigar, but it's a totally different strong cigar than what they're used to. And ultimately, I can't make that decision. Like with all my cigars, I blend them for me, and then I hope that there's a market out there that shares my viewpoint palate-wise that can also say, wow, that's a really great smoke. But we'll see what happens.
And then finally, Steve, who's your favorite Disney princess?
My favorite Disney princess? Does Jessica Rabbit count as a Disney princess?
We'll say she does. I like it.
I mean, she can be a little bit of a chubby, that girl. Am I wrong? No, come on, look at that.
Oh man. Well, Steve, thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Pleasure's all mine, man.
Thank you guys for watching. If you want to check out some more videos, feel free to subscribe. Check us out on Facebook and at thecigarknife.com. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching. Awesome. Well, thank you, man. That went